Hi YouTubers, another video again. This time it's on cancelled television shows. Mainly because I absolutely hate it when a show gets cancelled. It can either be left on some major cliffhanger that you will never know what happens next, or it's left in a way that, sure, it's not a cliffhanger, but hell, it's open for more, and you might have a few questions still to be answered. So I have by me a selection of my DVDs of shows that have been cancelled, and I just want to talk about them, you know. So in no particular order, I'm just going to pick up one and talk about it. First up, Demons. It's an ITV show with Philip Glenister, Zoe Tapper and Christian Cook. It was a very clever drama. I didn't watch it when it aired. I found it in FOP for about £3 and thought, it's a bargain, I'll pick it up. I like Philip Glenister. So I watched it and loved it and looked to see if there was a second season. No, there wasn't a second season and things, mainly because Philip Glenister didn't want to do a second season, so that was the problem there. But still a good show, and I'd recommend it, you know, even though you don't get a proper ending to it, which is a shame. Anywho, moving on. Blade the series. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I really liked it, and I think Kirk Jones played a very hard part, you know, but he pulled it off. He made the character his own for television, and it did end on a cliffhanger with Neil Jackson discovering that, you know, Jill Wagner's character was working with Blade. So I'll never know what happens next. And it was 2006 they made this. It's now 2012, so I have. Yep, all I can say towards that is there won't be a second series. So all I can do now is just appreciate it for what it is. Survivors. I loved this show. I waited a few months extra for the second series to air, mainly because of swine flu. Swine flu, the epidemic, got people a bit too scared, so the BBC were frightened that people would be a bit sensitive towards Series 2 being shown during that time, so they held back on showing it for at least a few months, I think. And when they showed this, it was definitely worth the wait from Season 1. And I watched this, I loved it. When the cliffhanger aired, the cliffhanger was spectacular. I just kept thinking, what's going to happen next? Then it took months and months and months for the BBC to make a decision, and they announced that it wasn't going to come back, but that they were going to make another show instead, with what they would have made, with the budget that they would have used to make a series 3. Guess what show they made with it? They made Outcasts. What happened to Outcast? It got cancelled. Moving on. Spooks Code 9. They only made one series. I don't think a lot of people liked it in comparison to the original. I can understand that you might prefer the original, because I do prefer the original, if I'm quite honest, but this was different, this was fresh, this was a different take on the Spooks universe, and I'd have loved to have seen it continue, especially with the cliffhanger. The bomb is counting down, the character is dying. Is the bomb going to go off? Is the character that's got a bullet in her gut going to survive? I'll never know. You know, it's a shame, because the cast had a lot of potential at taking the show even further, you know, than what they had, but oh well. Next up is a comedy called My Name Is Earl. This isn't the season that was cancelled. It was cancelled after season 4, but I don't have season 4 yet, but I will get it at some point. It was cancelled. I don't know why, actually, because I think it did quite well in the ratings and things, and it did well with DVD sales, so I don't know why it was cancelled. It ended on kind of like a to be continued way at the end of the 4th season, which would have led it into a 5th, but they never made a 5th. But Jason Lee, who plays Earl, and the rest of the cast have been in talks with the creator of the show to find some way to bring My Name Is Earl back, just for a one-time event, just to finish off what they started. And I hope they do, because it was a very good show. It was very funny, and I really enjoyed it, and I miss it, so I hope they bring it back. Moving on to one of my favourite sci-fi shows of all time, and I just wish they'd made a second season. It's Flash Forward. I really love this show, and again, I know why this was cancelled. It was largely down to the ratings, which, to be quite honest, is quite pathetic, because the show was spectacular, it was very well cast, it was very well written, and the only thing that stopped it from being bigger in the second part of the season was that there was a 3-month break between the 10th episode and the 11th episode. It was supposed to be just a month, then it became 3, so you do get the few people that would probably think, 3 months after 10 weeks of the episodes, I'll just get the DVD. That's what most people think. And I almost thought that myself, but then as soon as I saw the trailer for part 2 of the season, I just knew I had to sit down and watch it. And things, it was very popular in its first 10 episodes, but then due to the 3-month hiatus, it just didn't really do the show any good. And it's a shame that a show got cancelled, very early on. It's only its first season as well. Starz Network were in talks to maybe bring it back and have a second season, but they opted for a different option and went with Torchwood instead. So if you don't like Torchwood, you can blame that, but unfortunately I love Torchwood, so when it comes to choosing one or the other, what am I supposed to do? But I have high hopes that Flash Forward will be back someday. Moving on to another one. This is Life, with Damian Lewis, who you obviously now maybe know from Homeland. This is the show that made him kind of famous. This is its final season. Its first season got kind of cut short due to the writer's strike, which was a bit of an annoyance. So they made this season to make up for that. But in terms of the show, I will say your questions are answered and things. It doesn't end on a cliffhanger or anything like that. But I would have liked to have seen it continue a bit more, and Network did cancel it. So I get the funny feeling that the writers would have probably wanted to take it further. So that's a shame. But it does give you... Sorry. Oh, I shouldn't have had that beer. Like I'm saying, Life, it does end in a way that you have your answers. The characters found out the reason why he went to prison, found out who sent him to prison, and genuinely feels a lot more at peace, at the end, which I suppose is an ending. But I would have liked to have seen more of what he'd have done with that knowledge. But again, it's a good ending, I suppose, and I shouldn't really complain. Could have been a lot worse. Moving on to another sci-fi show, which I was extremely annoyed about when it got cancelled, and it's Heroes. I loved Heroes. I know a lot of people hated it, especially in the US. It was like no season was as good as the first season. And all I can say to the people that really loved the first season is to just go and watch season 1. If you want season 1 so badly, go and watch season 1. Because, sure, okay, season 2 wasn't as brilliant as the first, okay, I get that. But season 3, you had 2 spectacular volumes in the one season. I think it was better. I find in this one here, season 4, this was brilliant. You got the whole thing with Nathan isn't Nathan, it's really Sylar. And then you've got the whole thing of the circus, the carnies, and Samuel, played by Robert Nepper from Prison Break. It was spectacular. It was a bloody brilliant show. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what people's problems are with it. And I just really do hope it comes back, and Tim Kring, the creator of Heroes, has said that in some way, shape or form it will be back. Didn't say when, he didn't say in what form it would be back, but he said it would be back. So I hope it will be, because I got let down twice in 2010 when it came to Heroes. It didn't get a fifth season, even though they left it wide open for a fifth season, and the network suggested to them do a TV movie wrap up. They then cancelled that idea, so it felt like the show got cancelled twice in the 1 year, so it wasn't really fair. Moving on to another one. It's a British one. It's called Cape Wrath, but it was called Meadowlands in the US, and it was showed on FX. Starred David Morrissey, Harry Treadway, Lucy Coho, and the wonderful and stunning Felicity Jones. It was about a witness protection programme, and it was quite a lot of mystery going on in the little area called Meadowlands. And I will tell you the ending, because it just really annoyed me when it came to the end of it, because